Hello class, sorry I am not here today. My son is sick, so we're going to do a video. You should be at your day 5 notes. The stuff we're going to do today is pretty similar to what we did yesterday, so I don't foresee any major issues. We're going to talk more about slope-intercept form and point-slope form. The homework that was due today, I will check that tomorrow on Friday. I will be here. Also, just one other thing about the retakes. Don't forget that you can retake one of the unit tests. If you want to sign up for that, you can either email me or you can sign up with me on Friday. If for some reason you're not there on Friday, make sure you email me and let me know what unit test you're going to be retaking. It's either Unit 1 through Unit 4. All right, and then look at the board. It's got the details on the dates and the times. You can let me know what date you're going to retake it later, but that's just something to be aware of. Slope-intercept form, remember that was yesterday. Y equals mx plus b. M is the slope, b is the y-intercept. Point-slope form is this lovely thing. You make sure you know this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is the slope of the line, and x1, y1 is the point that the line goes through. Remember with these videos, sometimes I have to talk quickly, so if you need to pause it to catch up, don't worry about that. You can certainly do that. All right, so remember yesterday we talked about these steps. You always have to find the slope. If you're not given the slope, you got to find it. Then you're going to pick a point and put it into point-slope form. Even if it's asking for slope-intercept form, you're going to do steps 1 and 2 every time. And then if it needs to be in slope-intercept form, solve for y. So those are the steps we're going to follow. Now problem number 1, we did one like this yesterday, so I'm not going to do all of these. I'm just going to do number 1. But basically we're going to follow those steps. So the first thing is we got to find m. We do not have m, it's not given to us, so that's what we're going to be figuring out. We're going to be figuring out what m is. To find m, what we're going to do is subtract the y's over the x's. So we're going to do something like -9 minus -12, and then we'll do -3 minus 3. Or you can do it the other way. -9 minus -12, you're going to get 3. -3 minus 3, you get -6. Reduce that, you're going to get a slope of -1/2. So we found m, -1/2. Step number 2, we're going to pick a point and put it into point-slope form. Now it does not matter which point you pick. It does not matter. It's asking for us to have it in point-slope form, so there's going to be 2 answers. If you choose the first point will be x1, y1. We've got y minus -9, or you can put plus +9, equals your slope, -1/2, x minus -3, or x plus +3. Same thing. And then this is asking for us to have it in point-slope form. So we do not need to do step number 3 for this particular problem because it doesn't need to be in slope-intercept form. So now we're done. If you had chosen the other point, the other possible answer would have been y minus y1, y minus -12, or y plus +12, equals your slope, -1/2, and then x minus 3, x minus x1. And that would have been a possible answer as well. So there's going to be 2 possible correct answers. And we did one exactly like this in the day 4 notes. All right, let's look at number 1 right below it. Same deal, except this time we're going to be writing the equation in slope-intercept form. So we're going to do the same steps as above, except now we're going to have to do the third step and get it into slope-intercept form. So the first step, we're going to find m, our slope. Since we don't have it, we're going to subtract the y's over the x's. I'm going to do 1 minus -5 on top, and then 2 minus -2 on the bottom. When I do that, I get 6 on the top, 4 on the bottom, which is 3/2. Leave it as a fraction. My slope is 3/2. Step 2, pick a point. It does not matter which one. I'm going to pick 2, 1 just because I like positives. That's going to be my x1 and my y1. So I'm going to do y minus y1, y minus 1, equals my slope, 3/2, times x minus x1, x minus 2. That is now in point-slope form. If it was asking for me to have it in point-slope form, I would be done. Unfortunately, it's asking for it in slope-intercept form. So that means I need to do my third and final step, which is to solve for y. So we're going to distribute the 3/2. I'm going to work over here. We won't be doing 2 and 3 at all. So I got y minus 1. 3/2 times x is 3/2 x. Minus 3/2 times 2 is just going to be 3. After that, I add 1 to get y by itself. I got y equals 3/2 x minus 2. So there's my answer. It's in slope-intercept form, and I'm done. So that's going to be pretty much review from the other day. Let's go to the back, because the back is kind of new, sort of. All right. What do we know about the slopes of parallel lines? We talked about this earlier in the unit. Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. Parallel lines are going to have the same exact steepness or slope. So slopes of parallel lines, they're equal. They're the same. Okay? Parallel lines will have the same slope. So here's what's going to happen with these problems. It says write the equation in point-slope form, so we know what form it's in, of the line that is parallel to the given line and passes through the point. So we've got this line here. All right, if we were to graph this line, it would look, I don't know, something like this. We want to come up with a line that's parallel to this one that goes through this point. And you won't have to actually graph it. But if we looked at where -2, -5 is, we want to come up with the equation of the line that goes through this point. So obviously our line would end up looking something like this. We want the equation of that line. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of follow the same steps that we did on the previous side. We need to find out what our slope is. We need to find m. Now, we know what the slope of the original line is. All right, if we look at this equation, y equals -4x plus 6. It's in slope-intercept form. All right, the slope is the number in front of the x. So we know the slope of this line is -4. And if we know that our lines have to be parallel, we know that their slopes have to be equal. So the slope of my new line has to be the same slope. So the slope of my new line has to be -4 because that line has a slope of -4. Once I've used this equation to find out what my slope is, I am no longer using this equation. Please do not use the 6 for anything. We are done with that equation. The only use for that equation is helping me to figure out what my slope is. Once I have my slope, I have my point. It's exactly like the problems on the other side. I have point slope form that I'm trying to put it into. So I have my point, which is x1, y1. I have my slope, and we're going to plug it into point slope form. So there's my point slope form. Y minus y1, y minus -5, or y plus 5, equals my slope, -4, and then x minus -2, or x plus 2. And that's point slope form, so I don't need to solve for y. That's my answer. Okay, so it looks like that. This one, number 2, we have this equation. You'll notice that this equation is not in y equals mx plus b form, it's in point slope form. You got y minus a number equals m times x minus a number. M is the number in front of the parenthesis. So the slope of that line is 3/4. 3/4. I know that my line that's parallel to it is going to have the same slope. So my new line that I'm coming up with the equation for has to have a slope of 3/4, the same as that line. Once I've used this equation to find out the slope, I no longer need this. So my slope is 3/4, my point is x1, y1, and I'm going to put it into point slope form. Y minus 3 equals my slope, 3/4, x minus x1, or x plus 8. And that's it. It's in point slope form, so I'm done. I don't need to solve for y unless it tells me it's got to be in slope-intercept form.